Hi, how are you doing today in your part of the world? Well, here's an effective and a complete warm-up for your horse following a break of some kind. So it may be the winter break for some of us in the northern hemisphere. We may have not ridden our horses as much as usual in the winter, or not at all perhaps because of footing or snow or whatever. But this is a warm-up that I'm going to give you today that has 3 steps. It's a 3-step process that will show you how to get your horse's synovial fluid moving to all of the joints throughout your horse's body and have a very complete and effective process to do that. So hi, my name is Christine Adderson, and I help people with their horses, with their struggles, to get great relationships as well as very impressive results, not one without the other. So how would it feel if you had a very effective warm-up for your horse? And what would it feel like to have a routine that promotes the synovial fluid to reaching those joints? Having a routine that you do. I have learned and applied a tremendous amount to a horse that I rehabilitated several times during his lifetime. And that taught me so much about how a horse moves and how to give that horse a very effective warm-up. You have to take things slowly. You have to get really deep into what's happening with your horse's body and mind and spirit. And that's what I've done to come up with this process that I use for every one of my horses as a warm-up. Actually, whether they're young or old, this is great for young horses too because it settles them out. It creates awareness in their body. So it's a great 3-step process for warming up. So let me know if this is something you would like to see and hear, because I actually have a gift for you that I'm going to give you at the end here, which is a PDF that I've made of this 3-step process. All right, so let's go into the first step. The first step is the walk, and now this is done in hand. It can be with a halter of any description. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that you have 2 contact points or 2 connection points so that you have a run of energy between those 2 connection points, okay? I call it a coming through walk free. Okay, so you are going to spend your time evaluating your horse's walk when your horse comes out of the pasture or the pen or whatever. And we're going to do this only in straight lines. And you're going to evaluate things like, how straight is my horse today? What's the position of the rib cage of my horse? Are there any closing joints perhaps that I would like to see more opening rather than more closing? And are there any shorter striding limbs? So I would like you to just take 2 contact points on your horse. So one might be on the nose, right, up by the halter, and then the other one is slightly behind it. So you'll have about 12 inches of space between your hands. And you can guide the horse into a walk with those 2 contact points. So you're going to walk in a straight line. You're going to evaluate, how straight is my horse today? It's an evaluation based on feeling and also based on sight, right? So as you walk your horse, how straight is your horse? Can you walk that straight line, or does the horse always drift to one side perhaps? Where's the position of the rib cage? So you're going to have to look back at your horse and find, is it swung one way or is it swung the other way? Are there any closing joints? Typical closing joints would be the atlas and the axis between the skull and the first vertebrae. Other closing joints would be the TMJ. Other closing joints would be actually where the neck joins the trunk and right in the heart girth area. Okay, and are there any short striding limbs that you can see? Is perhaps the right hind leg striding a little shorter than the left hind? Okay, that's step number 1. And let's go to number 2 now, okay? So now we're going to isolate a few key joints and areas, and I've already given you a hint of what those are. So the first area that we're going to isolate, and this is at a standstill, so now we come and we stand still. One is the atlas and the axis, okay? So that's right in this area where the skull attaches to the vertebrae, to the spine. We're going to see if those joints are moving equally from one side to the other. And it's a very soft, easy movement. And again, you have 2 points. So throughout all of this warm-up, you always have these 2 connection points, okay? So we're going to take and just ask the horse's head to gently turn from one side to the other at a standstill. And again, you're going to evaluate, does the horse's head turn more easily to one way than the other? And this is not a big rotation. This is not a big bend. This is not a big twirl of the head on top of the spine at all. It's just tiny. It's very, very small. All right, so the next one is the shoulder and the heart girth. Okay, so on a person, it's right here. Okay, so it's right behind the deltoid or the scapula. And the heart is actually under that area, or it's in the girth area. It's a little more forward of the girth area where the heart resides, a little more forward of the girth area. Okay, and what I want you to do is again, just apply a little bit of pressure in that area with 2 connection points and see what it feels like. Okay? And what I mean by that, is it heavy? Does the horse shift the shoulder from one foot to the other, or do you get nothing? And now I want to move to the third area within the second category of isolating the key joints, and that is the SI joint and the hips. Okay, so again, you're going to take your 2 points, your 2 connection points. You can put one on each side of the hip, go to the back of your horse and face along the spine. And you can either put your 2 connection points on the points of the hip up top, or you can just have it on either hip at the back. And what you're going to do is just compare. So you have 2 connection points and you're going like this, forward and back with each hand, okay? Keeping contact. And again, you're evaluating, does the right hip maybe move more forward than the left hip, or vice versa? Is one hip a little more stuck? Okay, so you take those evaluations, and then we're going to proceed to the third part of the warm-up process, which is again the walk. It's again the coming through walk, but this time it's with assistance. All right, so again, we're on straight lines. And when I say with assistance, I mean you're going to be connected to the horse, okay? And you're actually going to be influencing in a positive way the movement of the horse, encouraging more movement of the joints and more warming up of the synovial fluid getting to the joints. Again, one hand on the halter like we did before, and one hand about a foot behind that, anywhere on the horse's body, so you have 2 connections points, but it'll be, somewhere here, right? So now you're going to walk in a straight line, and again, you're going to look for straightness as you do this task. As you isolate that area, the atlas axis, and isolate that head twirl area at a walk. So you might walk 4 strides with a slight bend to the right, 4 strides with a slight bend to the left. Yeah, and you're evaluating, what things are you evaluating? Do you remember from the first one? You're evaluating straightness, position of the rib cage, any closing joints, and any shorter strides. Okay, so we're doing our walk, adding these little undulations through here, which you will see actually going through the whole entire spine of the horse's body. and you can train your eye and your sense of feel to know exactly where those stuck places are. You want to look for the pole being open. That's a typical stuck place that I found probably every single horse has. And you're going to look for the rhythm. Is there a slight little glitch in the rhythm? Now, it takes about 20 minutes for synovial fluid to get through to all of the horse's joints, and where you could say that then the horse is warmed up. So what I typically do is I take about 10 minutes, maybe a little more, to do this evaluation with my 3-step warm-up process. And then I would go to lunging or on the line work. Once you've evaluated how your horse is coming out, because you never know, right? You never know what has happened the day before or the night before with your horse, how they went out to the pasture, you know, what they did with their friends. So this is a great pre-flight check for the movement quality of your horse and the warm-up ability that you have. And it's not only for your horse as well, what I just told you, it's for you as well. It's for you and your horse. So now, if you would like my free PDF that I've made, which is my three-step warm-up process for a horse who's coming from a break, perhaps winter, or you were away for a while, or rehabilitation, or an elderly horse, or even a younger horse, if you would like this PDF of my free resource, put YES for me as a note below, and I'll be sure to send that off to you. So thanks so much for being here. It's great to have you. If you're coming on live, just dropping in, you're going to want to listen back on my 3 steps that I went through. But if you're on the replay too, don't hesitate to put questions in, because I'll come in after and answer your questions. And I'll be sure to send off that document to you too. So thanks so much for being here. It's great to have you, and I will see you next time.